Step 1 is boiling 3.5 quarts of water. If you have city water, you might want to consider getting bottled water for this step. While your water is boiling, which ours is almost ready to be brewed, you gather 8 bags of tea, a combination of black and green, and I gather them with no staple at the top and tie it. It's so that I can brew them over the pot through hanging by a spoon. Once it's rolling boil, get a 1 cup of sugar. It does not have to be level. I like to use a rounded cup of sugar.
And take it off the stove.
Take it off the stove. Make sure that you have it on a heat-safe counter or hot pad. I put mine on a hot pad. Syrup now, and then we will brew our tea here in a second. Excuse our messy kitchen, and drape it over. And the only reason I do that is so that they're not fully submerged and I don't have to stick my hand in there. Then it just rests and it will brew. You should brew it for about 10 minutes. So this mixture is green tea and black tea, and the reason for the mixture is the scooby, which is what your yeasts are. They eat the sugar, but they also use the tannins in the black tea. So you have to have a black tea, at least a couple of bags in your green tea mixture. So I choose to use 4 black tea bags and 4 green tea, and that seems to work fine.
So these are bottles that we had before from previous kombucha.
GTS brand.
GTS brand, and what we do is put a little bit of white vinegar inside there, swirl it around, and then wash it out, and then it sanitizes the bottle.
It neutralizes the...
Yeah, neutralizes everything in. So what we're getting ready to do now is what?
We are going to brew the black tea kombucha. Booch, whatever you want to call it. Brewed our tea in there.
Yep.
And because of the time of night, I've discovered that I can put this in the fridge for about 45 to 50 minutes, depends on your fridge. Our outside fridge takes longer to cool off, but our inside fridge is quicker. So this is from the inside fridge, so it took a lot shorter time. We gotta wait on the other one because it's not ready. If you've been buying your own kombucha from a store
at $3 a bottle,
at $3 a bottle, and it makes 6 bottles, I mean that's a huge savings, especially if you drink one a day, which is what we typically drink.
So what is the next step?
You have to get your flavorings ready. So I use ginger in almost every single one of my recipes now because we found that it gives like a nice spicy flavor, and it also gives more carbonation, it seems like. I don't know why, but it just does. You can add as much ginger as you want, but it's just a microplane and ginger. And I keep this in the freezer, so you can just buy it fresh. It's organic. I bought it at Kroger. So it's just fresh ginger. Use fresh ginger. You don't want to use dry ginger.
Yep,
So this is the regular kombucha. You can see the scooby that's in there. It is a live, living thing. It is gross feeling if you really don't like it, but it's pretty much science. The new one is on top. So the new one is on top. You can see it on the bottom. You can actually see the carbonation coming up from the inside, that it's already carbonated. And then there's mother on the bottom, so you can see the layer of mother on the bottom. But the layers of scooby that form in there. It's getting really, really thick, which means it's good and healthy. You can see how thick the layer is. That's almost all brand new growth right there. This was a really, really good one. So I'm gonna have some babies here soon. I gotta cut those off. So you take it and you put it on a clean plate. You can see how thick it is. You can actually take this part and grow only this one. So this one could grow its own. It just leaves some grossness on your hands, but
Which is the good stuff that helps your stomach.
it does. It's all probiotic. So you just use one. You want to get some of that in there though, because it's good probiotic in there. And you can see that it fizzes, but you want to stir it just to get the mother back up into the bottle. So you don't want to stir too much or you'll lose some of that carbonation, but just keep it clean. You're trying to keep this as sterile as you can. So you need to take 2 cups out of this. So for every batch you have to start with your previous batch. So you're kind of reusing. So you get 2 cups of your original and set it aside because you're going to use that on your next one. Then you can start with your flavorings. You use 1 cup of, you can use 1 cup of juice. You can use a cup of any kind of flavorings you want. You don't even have to flavor it. You could put just ginger in there. It could just be regular. We tend to like the fruit juice stuff, so that's what we do. So we're doing whatever that is.
Antioxidant power.
And you just have to filter out all the stuff.
So it's 1 cup of,
1 cup, and
then ginger to flavor.
your ginger, which I eyeball it. You can put whatever you want in there, but that's just what we do. So you just have that in there and pour right in. It will bubble sometimes. Depends on the sugar content. Will it bubble a lot or not? And then you just stir so it's all incorporated. And yes, I grated my ginger with the skin on. It doesn't matter. You can actually hear it bubbling because there is already carbonation in there. Alright, so you fill them up. We use the one with a spigot on it. If you don't have a spigot, you're going to have to figure out a way to get it in your bottle, whether that's with a ladle and a funnel or just pouring it into a funnel into your bottle. And you fill it all the way up just to the neck to start your next batch, which is your first brew is what you call it. The second brew is what's sitting over there. So you brew one, which is your original, and then you brew, that's your second brew. And what that means is infusing the flavors into the kombucha. It's perfect. So you wash out your glass jar. You always want to use glass so it doesn't eat into the plastic because it will. Make sure your fitting is tight. So if you have an old sun tea jar and nobody uses it anymore, just get it. And I got one at Goodwill, pretty cheap. That's all it is. And you pour it into your jar. So to keep a baby, you just use the sweet tea. You don't have any of the kombucha in there so that it doesn't grow anymore. And you keep it cold. And then you pour your reserved 2 cups of
the last brew
into there. And that's your starter to start feeding your scooby again. And so then you take clean hands again, and you can take the old one, which is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm actually going to take this little guy and put it in that jar. I know it looks weird, but that's what I'm going to do. And you can use this one. I'm actually going to give that to somebody else. I'm going to use this one, which is my new one. And you can see the other little baby on the bottom. Look at that little baby. Look at that. Look at that baby. I'm going to put that baby in there too. So now I got two babies. Alright, and I'm going to put this in here. And I was told, I read online that, and it could do whatever it wants to in there. It's going to float to the top, to the side, but it needs to stay wet.
Liquid, yeah. Let me stay in the liquid.
Moist. Anyway, it needs to stay in the liquid because it can, if it dries out on top, you can get mold issues.